Afternoon. How are you today? You'll notice today emails going out a little late. I've I've gone through a lot of different topics about what to talk about today, and I just got done with facilitating the grief support group that I do in my area. And what's coming up for me, and I decided to just kind of ramble a little bit about, is what to do when you feel alone. And I think all of us have had experiences of feeling very alone, feeling very different to other people in our lives, feeling that there's something wrong with us, feeling that there's somehow something different about us. And there's been a few aha moments, indicators, just some things that have come up over the last couple of days that are pointing to this subject for me. And last night, I was having a conversation with a client, and we were talking about prayer and what prayer means to different people. And she belongs to a Bible study group, and they were discussing in the group about what prayer means to them. And for her, prayer was just kind of getting quiet and having a conversation with, in her case, God is the terminology she uses. And what she finds when she does that is it settles her mind from whatever worries she has. And when she does that, when she prays, answers sometimes occur to her. Not every time, but sometimes. And we were talking about a scenario where something had happened. She started to feel herself get in a tither. She said, I'm going to pray on this. She had a conversation with God, which settled her mind, and something occurred to her to do to solve the problem she was having. And I realized in that moment that the way she was talking about that is how I've been talking about, this inner guidance, this inner wisdom that we all have, this connection that we have to the aliveness, the intelligence behind life. Call it God, call it source, call it the universe, call it whatever you want to call it. Many people call it different things. Doesn't matter. It shows up in the same way. And it is a real-time, in the moment, responsive intelligence. It's not something you can plan for. It's something that shows up when your mind gets quiet, when you have enough mental bandwidth to hear it. And it may not be a voice, it may be kind of a nudge. It could be, you get up and you realize you're making a peanut butter sandwich. You're like, oh, I guess I was hungry. We all have different experiences of it. And then today in the grief support group, the ladies in the group have lost husbands, and they were saying that, they'll talk with their husbands. And I've done this. I've talked to Aaron. And the act of having this conversation with their husbands, or me with Aaron, again, settles the mind enough to have some bandwidth to hear things. Maybe not, again, in a voice, maybe it's just a nudge, a feeling, an actual voice, could be anything. But something occurs to you. And what I'm noticing more and more and more is that this is not unusual. This is not woo-woo. This is not weird. It's not strange. It's not unnatural. I'm noticing that it is very natural. It's, I've been learning that this is how we work, but I'm really starting to see it more and more and more and more. And it is what, as I see it deeper, more and more what I'm pointing my clients to. is that inner resource that we all have. When we are not caught up in our minds trying to figure problems out, when we either let it go or we step back from it, maybe we take a shower, or maybe we start an art project, listen to music, go for a walk. I mean, whatever settles you. And then answers occur. The next step just shows itself. And the more I see it, the more I'm starting to just follow it. And it's really kind of cool. This is kind of the nature of the insights that we have, is having that open mental bandwidth so that we can hear those nudges. And then the next question is, are we following the nudges? Or do we have these nudges and then we immediately go into our heads and either try to talk ourselves into or try to talk ourselves out of what we're receiving, if you will. And that happens too. I think that's where urges come from. Like, what I mean by that is you have the urge to go eat something you shouldn't eat. You know you shouldn't eat it. And you get this little nudge like, hey, you really don't need that. But then you have the argument in your head. This will make me feel better, or I deserve it, or whatever. And I think the way you can tell the difference, because that is something that I've questioned, like, how can I tell the difference? Is because the nudge, the urge to do the right thing, feels very calm, very matter of fact, moves your bones, feels natural. Whereas the trying to talk yourself into or trying to talk yourself out of feels tense. It feels argumentative. It's going up into your head, closing down the mental bandwidth. But it's a capability that we all have through our consciousness. It's a capability to be moved, to be guided. Whether we are talking to God, talking to the universe, talking to our kids who aren't with us anymore, or our spouses who aren't with us, or our parents who aren't with us. However we get there, I think doesn't matter. But I think it's important to recognize that this is true. It's real. It's not crazy. It's not woo-woo. It's how we're designed. And we work well when we follow how we're designed. Yeah, that's all that's coming to me at the moment. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully it sparks something for you. And yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.